Okay, so the topic that the student early in the school year wanted to know about and learn about was the Titanic. Basically, she told me she saw the movie and she wanted to learn about it, and I'm a man of my word. And I told you guys, if there's anything you guys want to learn, tell me so I can teach you guys. And so here we are talking about it. So the Titanic, it left Southampton, England on April 10th, 1912. And the thing is, you have to remember the name alone, Titanic, came from, the Greeks and Romans, the Titans, the gods. Basically, they're indestructible, and that's where the nickname, the unsinkable ship, was coming from because of its size. It was a lot bigger than any other ship at that time, but nowadays it's actually kind of small, but still. The thing is, there were 2,224 total people on that ship. That includes passengers and crewmen. Now, the ship, again, was extraordinarily large. It stood 175 feet tall, and it was 882 feet and 8 inches from end to end. Now, at that time, that was huge. That was a record number. And the thing is, nowadays, we have carriers that where planes, leave on the boats in the middle of the ocean. Those things, you can literally put the Titanic on the platform, where the planes take off. Nowadays, I mean, it's pretty small if you really look at it. There are ships a lot bigger. But at that time in 1912, it was the biggest, it was the most luxurious, it was just eye-opening. Now, to take the ship out, they wanted an experienced captain, and they had one. His name was Edward Smith. Now, according to popular belief, this was supposed to be Captain Smith's last voyage. The thing is, there's no real hard evidence that shows that it was or it wasn't. But again, the reason why he was picked is because he was the most experienced captain they had. And that's a picture of him to your right. Now, again, like I said, there were some hints. Maybe he was going to retire soon. Maybe that was going to be his last voyage. Maybe it wasn't. No hard evidence. However, on that ship, there were some important people. One of them was Bruce Ismay. Now, he was the director of the White Star Line, uh, the whole company that made Titanic. The next one was Thomas Andrew. Now, this guy designed the ship, and he knew that baby from the top to the bottom and front to back. He knew everything about that ship. The other one was Margaret Molly Brown. Now, Molly Brown was a millionaire, and just like the movie, played by Kathy Bates, um, she was not one of those polished, refined women. Kathy Bates did a really, really good job in depicting her as just a person. Yeah, she had money, but she's not gonna look down on you just because you don't have money. She was a tough woman, so uh, that character in the movie, she really was, you know, straightforward, and she's gonna tell you what's on her mind. But she was a Denver millionaire heiress lady. Now, John Jacob Astor, this guy was an inventor, an investor. He did a lot of other stuff, and he was on there. Another guy was Francis Millet. Now, he was a painter and a sculptor. All right. And there's one last guy who was really important. His name was Isidore Strauss. Excuse me. Now, Strauss was co-owner of Macy's. Now, a little unknown fact, and I didn't put him on here, was that J.P. Morgan, the financial millionaire, who played a very, very integral role in the General Electric, and he was invested in Titanic as well. He was supposed to be on the Titanic as well, but he canceled the last minute. Now, the average first class ticket was about £23. That's a 1912 price. Nowadays, that'd be worth £2,497. In our money, in the US money, that'd be worth $3,265. Now that's just your average. Now the most expensive room costs £870. That'd be an equivalent to 94,460 pounds, and for US money, that'd be $123,519. A pretty penny for to be on a ship for basically like 5 days. Now, the thing that's not really mentioned all that much is that people talk about, oh, the Titanic was going from England to New York and that's it. No, the Titanic was going to stop off at several other places. It stopped off at Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, Ireland. Now, the thing is, there was actually a priest in there, in the ship. He was a Jesuit priest named Francis Brown. Now, Brown was an avid photographer. He loved taking pictures. So he would take pictures of the rooms, the hallways, people there, the crewmen. He was an avid photographer. And so he took a bunch of pictures. And so when he got off on the Queenstown in Ireland, he was truly the last person to have pictures of the ship. And he did develop them, and that's how we have a lot of the pictures we have now. Um, and some, from him, that people on the ship and stuff like that. Now, no, oh, I'm sorry. The picture on the right above, that is one of the last pictures of Titanic. And the thing is, once they leave Queenstown, Ireland, Captain Smith gets these signals. They're basically messages saying that there's icebergs in the path. And he basically ignores them. And he's like, let's just keep going. Going our speed, present speed, which is full speed. Now, the myth is Captain Smith tried to get to New York in like a record time, try to surprise people, That's a myth, okay? There is no evidence to prove that. And like I was talking in class, if you were on a plane, would you want the plane to arrive 2 hours early, on time, or 2 hours late? And chances are you would want it to be on time because you may have told somebody, pick me up in the airport at noon. Well, if you arrive at 10 a.m., you're going to be sitting there waiting for your ride to get there, And if you get there too late, whoever your ride is going to be, they may be like, well, we waited, and, things like that. So it causes problems either way. But on time, it's on time. And a lot of trains and planes and some of that, they try to arrive on time. Boats are no different. Now, on April 14th at 11:40 p.m., Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee, they're up on the tower in the front, and they're looking around. They see an iceberg dead ahead. So they ring the bell, they get on the phone, and they call to the bridge. And that's where First Officer William Murdoch, he's there and he orders the ship to steer and orders the engines be shut down. Now, the thing is, you have to remember, kind of like physics. The ship is huge. It's massive. It's long. It weighs a lot. Things like that. So anything with mass and has momentum, it's going to take time for it to slow down and even come to a complete stop. It takes some time. And the thing is, if there's resistance, that helps. But the thing is, the ship is so big and it's going so fast that it doesn't have enough time to stop, turn, and things like that. So eventually they do hit the side of the ship. Now, the thing is, we know now that the ship was brought down by little holes all over the side, caused by the iceberg. But back then, because the ship was unsinkable, they believed that it was a 300-foot gash on the side of the ship. That's what caused the ship to sink. Now, the thing is, there really was enough lifeboats at the beginning for everybody, but they took them all off because, again, the ship was unsinkable. So why wouldn't we need lifeboats for? So then the ones that were left was basically enough for like a third of the passengers. Um, Now, the thing is, many of the crewmen, they were untrained and they didn't know how much people could fit in the lifeboats. So some boats actually left with very few people. One of them actually left with just 12. And remember, this is first class, women and children. So if you've seen the movie, you know how it was. The third part about the third class citizens basically being locked down at the bottom, that's true. They basically had to fend for themselves. And some of them, not all, were left down there. Some of them, the gates were open, some of them had to bust through, but the thing is, um, many were trapped. Now, the ship is sinking, all right? First it goes slow and then it picks up. Uh, the first part of the ship starts to get a lot of water, and that's why it starts to go down, 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 while it's lifting the back half up. Now, just like in the movie, if you've seen it, the ship goes up, 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 and then it cracks. Bottom part goes back down. Then it starts filling up. The bottom, first half starts filling up again. The weight of it's bringing it down. Still connected, and that's why it lifts all the way up. Now it bobs there for a minute, but then the bottom part detaches and it sails down to the bottom floor. And it crash lands, as you see in that picture to your right. Now, the other half, it starts sinking, 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 sinking. And at 2:20 in the morning, on April 15th, 1912, the Titanic is completely gone. Now, it's not until 1985 that they realized the ship is broken in two. For years, they thought it was still all together. Now, the survivors of the ship who were still in the water, they were but it was 28 degrees, right? That's below freezing. And the thing is, a lot of those people died from cardiac arrest, hypothermia, or other bodily functions basically ceased to function. And usually hypothermia and cardiac arrest took about 15 to 30 minutes. So again, if you see in the movie and you hear that part when they say, oh, it's getting quieter because it's already passed and a lot of people have died. All right. Now, there is one person on the movie that really was what they showed. And that's a chef. His name was Charles Jugin. And the thing is, he was actually the chef. He actually saved a lot of people. He got them on the boats. And he was supposed to be on it, but he got out so people can get on. And the myth is, oh, he got drunk. And that's what saved him when he was in the water. That's not true. Because if you're drunk, that makes your blood thin, and your blood's thin, that makes hypothermia catch on quicker. But he did have a couple swigs. Now, as you saw in the movie, he's in the back of the boat as it's going down when it's vertical. That part is true. He is truly the last person on the ship before it goes down completely. And him and 12 other people are pulled out of the water. The rest of the passengers, 1,503 of them, are dead. They're frozen. The only thing that they had was the life jackets. That's the only thing they had on that ship for everybody, the life jackets. So here is your final question. Do you think there could have been any way to prevent the Titanic from sinking? If so, how? If not, why not? Okay, so justify your answer. And the writing prompt is on the bottom. Again, it's an opinionated piece. So the only way you could be wrong is if you don't answer, you copy, or your answer is so left field, it's not even right. I mean, if you say something like Superman could have came down and saved it. No, sorry. No. So once you finish with that, we're done. And be sure to put your name on the paper and put it in the basket. Okay. Don't put it on my desk. There's a lot of papers there. It's going to get lost. Okay. So as soon as you come in, put it in the basket. All right. So hopefully you learned something new, and I will see you guys in class. All right. So take care. Have fun.